Hi, Elle Ingalls here at elleingles.com, pressure-free.com. Going to talk again a little bit more about election anxiety. So I think a couple nights ago, I did a little talk about losing friends during this election because one of my followers and dear friends had asked me if I would address that. So I have some more thoughts that I want to share today about election anxiety, which is a new anxiety. Most people had never experienced it, but some people have and there's a reason for that. There's a reason why people are so dug in and people are so committed to their sides. So I'd like to unpack that a little bit for you to get started here today, and I want to share a story that is not about election and not about politics, to describe and share why we get so focused on a side and dug in. So we raised our kids in a beautiful city, Battle Creek, Michigan, and our eldest two went to the small Catholic school, and they went all the way through the Catholic school. Our oldest also went half the day to the Math and Science Center. And then our youngest went through seventh grade in the Catholic school, and then went to a public school starting in 9th grade. So there are decisions to be made along the way. And here's something that we noticed first when our oldest boys were choosing where they were going to, and their friends were choosing where they were going to be going to high school. If someone chose to leave our little school, we would notice a ton of judgment. Like, we can't believe that they're leaving. How can they leave our beautiful school? There was just like a lot of judgment and a lot of tightness about that issue. And another thing that we realized is that once someone has made a decision for where their child is going to go to school, there is no convincing them of coming back. Like, it's very rare, though there have been a few occasions where one of those students did come back to our little private school. But for the most part, once a decision was made, there was no convincing that it would be better for them to come back. Does that make sense? Like, we make a choice and we dig in. And there's a few reasons for that. One of the reasons is if we've dug in and made a choice, and then we start to waffle on it a little bit, you lose this ability to feel like you're at all very strong about making a decision. And that's a little bit scary for people. So you will come up with more reasons why this is the right decision. So anytime we are making a decision, that means we are cutting something off. The other option is no longer an option once we've made the decision. And that's why some of these decisions can be really hard. So if you apply this kind of thing to politics, if you are convicted on a side and you've dug in, there usually is no convincing. No one can tell you anything that is going to convince you to look the other way. So this is why there's a lot of fracture right now, and why sometimes people are losing friendships, or people read something on Facebook and say, well, I don't want anything to do with that person anymore. It's because we're so dug in and our convictions are strong, and it's human nature to do that. But I also believe that we've been culturally leading to more and more division versus solving problems. And that's because we have a lack of emotional maturity right now in our country in general. And our education system is doing the very best it can. However, there has not been a lot of work on emotional resilience. It's more on getting the testing done, and getting these skills done. But when it comes to problem solving and really digging in, and there are a lot of cool approaches around the world to problems these days that I would love to see start to be instituted more in our country, so that we don't have so much fracture. But there's fracture all over the world. And again, it's because once you've made a decision means you've cut off the other option. So there's some interesting things you can do. You can check this out. I wish I could find it, but one of my friends posted a very interesting article. It basically had quotes. You did not know who the person was who said it. And a college student was doing a survey, and they had all these quotes by various politicians. And they asked people who they thought said these particular line items. And they went one by one by one Thank you, Pressure Free Nation, Leela. You got it. And in each case, people often thought that it was President Trump who made the statement. However, it wasn't. It was Hillary Clinton or President Obama or President Clinton. It was a different politician on the other side. So sometimes we, we're not really looking at the words, we're not really looking at the message, but we're looking at the messenger. Okay, so it's fascinating to be above the fray. And I want to give you some tips to be above the fray so you can look at everything objectively and have a chance to perhaps see the other side, which other side you feel dug in on, have a chance to see the other side without all the emotion. So you're staying emotionally resilient about it. So the first step is that when you're taking a look at something and trying to observe it, you need to actually physically get your body up higher. Be above the fray. Don't be in the muck, because in the muck you cannot be clear. You cannot see clearly. So get up above. Take out all the emotion out of whatever it is you're reading. So I don't actually listen to the news or very rarely on the radio. I read a news feed where there's no other communication style coming through to me, so I can just see the words, what's being said, what the policy is. And I have very strong convictions on certain policies for sure, just like everybody. But I try to be very much above it and really look carefully at all the contingencies. So I encourage you to do that. Get yourself up and above. Take the messengers out of the picture, all of them. Because the other day I actually was watching football with my son and I saw a commercial by one of the candidates, and if you just read the words, you took the words and you didn't hear a voice and didn't know signage who it was, you would have thought it was the opposite candidate. Like, what is going on? So it's pretty curious what's going on. I like to stay above, analyze it that way. I'm an independent, so I vote for certain particular policies and certain particular ways things are going on. So it's just interesting to do. I encourage you to take a look at where you've made decisions and cut all other things off, and then also see if you can get up and above the fray to say, well, let's really take a look at this. And I'm always asking, how can we get to solution? I don't care what the topic is, but what is the deeper solution? Because I think that we have more commonality when we're looking at what we want the solution to be versus how we're getting there. There's so much difference about how we get to that. But when you actually get right down to what a problem is and how we need to solve it, for example, an immigration problem, there was a wall talked about way long before President Trump came on the scene. And you can find it. Just do a little research, you'll see it. So it's like, okay, let's take a look at all that. Let's really look at it and see what we need to do. How do we have really great immigration policy for this country? There is a way. And together, I believe we can figure that out. So I am definitely a get to the root of the problem, find the problem and work on the problem versus belong to any kind of party and duke it out that way. I don't think it's working. I honestly don't think it's working. So don't let yourself get caught up to the point that you actually harm yourself physically and mentally, and you lose friends over it. You know, an election cycle and a term of office is going to be 4 or 8 years for any president, but a friendship can last a lifetime. Your friendship is more important. It's a lifetime friendship versus an election cycle, a term for a presidential candidate to take charge for 4 years or 8 years. A friendship hopefully can last a lifetime. So I fear that some people are losing friendships that could have lasted lifetimes for them. And I think we're better than that. So I think that's Leela giving me love there. Or Speedy. Is that Speedy? Oh, that's Leela. I think we're better than that. I think that it's going to take us being better than that for our country to be what it can be. And And it starts with each one of us. It starts with each one of us being more emotionally resilient and being more mature. And thank you. Friends are more important than an election. They really are. They hopefully last a lifetime. I hope our friendship lasts a lifetime, those of you who are on here with me. I'm aiming for that. And what I think is cool, I'm going to go back to the school analogy. I'm going to come full circle. When our youngest decided to go to a different school, he kept his friends from the first school. And they are his friends today. He was just visiting them a couple weeks ago. So even though he went to a different school, he didn't cut off his friendships. He kept his friendships. And I was really, I was just so happy for him for that. So he made a bunch of new friends, but he also kept the old friends. So, so take that analogy, you know, just because you've made a decision in a certain way doesn't mean you need to cut off a friendship. It doesn't mean you need to cut everything off. So take a good look at it and decide for you what's really important. And don't throw away a friendship that could last a lifetime because of a 4-year term of any president, whichever way it goes, whatever your convictions are. You know, there's no judgment. What's wonderful about this country is that you can have your convictions. And I've talked to some really interesting people on both sides with what their convictions are. And it's interesting, again, when you get down to like the real root of problems. I think we have much more connections than people are seeing right now or experiencing or feeling, because the media wants us to be polarized and other people want us to be polarized. So you decide, do you want to be polarized or not? So I hope you take a look at that, and I hope it's helpful. So I'm wishing a great pressure-free weekend. I'll probably be on again this weekend, but coming to you live from the treehouse. My favorite place. I'm so happy in the treehouse. Have a good one. Bye.